Imagine this: Los Angeles, deep night, an ordinary guy who has just met the girl of his dreams, but he is late for the date. He stops at a payphone near a diner to call her and answers a random call instead. With a shaking voice, a stranger tells him that in 50 minutes a nuclear war will begin. Miracle Mile, a film that could have become a Hollywood blockbuster but lost millions because of its ending. A film that starts like a rom-com but turns into a real nightmare. This is the Cine Underground section, where we remember strange, forgotten, not very popular but always curious films. We are going to Miracle Mile. We are going to the apocalypse. To understand this film, we need to go back in time, not to 1988 when the film was released, but to the late 1970s. A young director, Steve De Jarnatt, writes a script that shocks Hollywood, but only on paper. In 1983, American Film Magazine publishes a list called the 10 best unmade scripts in Hollywood. Miracle Mile is on the list, and all the studios want to buy it. They see blockbuster potential and imagine Nicolas Cage or Kurt Russell in the leading role. It looks like success is close, but everything goes wrong. While the script was sitting on a shelf almost 10 years, the theme of war and tension between the USA and the Soviet Union became a bit worn out, though still very relevant. During that time, several films about an upcoming apocalypse were released, such as Testament and The Day After. I already talked a little about Steve De Jarnatt in a video about another VHS-era cult film, Cherry 2000. De Jarnatt didn't have a long or rich film career. He made only two feature films, Cherry 2000 and Miracle Mile. So why did such a strong script not become a hit? There are two reasons. The first one is the director himself. De Jarnatt was a newcomer, and studios were afraid to trust him with millions of dollars. But there was a second reason, much more important, the ending. I won't spoil it in detail yet, but the views of the author and the producers were very different. One wanted a hard, dark ending, others wanted a hopeful story. In the final film, we see exactly what De Jarnatt wanted, and that is probably a good thing. In the end, after almost becoming an episode of The Twilight Zone, the script returned to De Jarnatt. He rewrote it and then directed the film himself. So what is this film that caused so much noise before its release? Miracle Mile starts like a typical romantic comedy. Harry Wershelow is an ordinary guy, a 30-year-old trombone player in a jazz band. He meets a waitress from a 24-hour diner, a very typical American cafe. This is important because a large part of the film takes place there. They walk around, fall in love and plan their next date. But because of a stupid accident, Harry oversleeps. Instead of coming in the evening, he arrives at the dinner late at night, and this silly accident leads to him answering a random call in a phone booth. From the conversation, both Harry and the audience learn that the young man on the phone dialed the wrong number. He was calling from a military base to warn his family that the USA has launched missiles at the enemy. That means a response attack is coming and the city, Los Angeles, and maybe the whole country will be destroyed. After learning this terrible truth, Harry tries to warn people, but more importantly, he tries to save his new love, who never waited for him at the date. The first 20 minutes are a completely normal love story. In fact, the whole film is about love, but the beginning sets this tone very clearly. Los Angeles, the 1980s. The main character openly says that for the first time in his 30 years of life, he has found true love. The opening shows us the characters and the atmosphere of a romantic, now old-school city, a walk through the museum, a chance meeting, a date, a jazz band. Most of the film takes place in the Los Angeles district called Miracle Mile. As you can guess, the film gets its name from this place. The director said many times that he loved this area and he chose it as the center of the story. The locations in the film are real places in Miracle Mile and other parts of the city. The hotel where the main character stays is now the Chateau Marmont Hotel on Sunset Boulevard. The tall building that plays an important role in the film, 5900 Wilshire, has been renovated and is now the headquarters of a construction company. But the most important place in the film is Johnny's coffee shop. This is a truly cult location of the area, which changed its name several times. The cafe opened in 1956 under the name Romeo's Times Square. Later it closed, but in 2013 it received cultural heritage status. Miracle Mile is not the only film where it appears. You can also see the cafe in The Big Lebowski, American History X, Volcano, and in other films and music videos. Right next to this cafe is the payphone, where the main character learns that the end of the world is coming. Or maybe it isn't. One of the main intrigues of the film and what really keeps the tension high is this question. Is it true that in less than an hour missiles will hit the country? The symbol of the film becomes ticking clocks. They are everywhere, from the unlucky alarm clock that made Harry late for the date to an entire clock department in a store where the characters end up. For Harry, every minute brings the end of the world closer, or maybe after this hour he will find out that it was a stupid prank. That would be a relief, but not a complete one. After all, he has basically scared the whole city. But even if it's not true, already in the first 20 minutes of the film, behind the mask of carelessness and romance, there are small details of an approaching disaster. I remind you, we'll talk about the ending later, I will warn you. Even the place where the main characters meet, a museum near the La Brea tar pits, shows how life on the planet began and hints that it may soon end. La Brea is a unique place in general. Prehistoric animals fell into traps of sticky tar, got stuck and died there, but their remains were preserved very well. And of course, the story will return to this place later. Almost until the very end, this museum represents a lost sense of calm and safety. From the moment the action moves to the cafe, the film's timeline almost exactly matches real time. A countdown begins, and with it, the level of suspense starts to rise. The diner scene is a great example of slowly growing tension. Harry runs inside and tells everyone what he heard, and here the film asks its main question: how do people behave when they face the end of the world? First there is laughter, then doubt, then action. But it doesn't turn into a Michael Bay-style action movie. Instead, it becomes a more realistic disaster film. Once again, the film makes great use of all the locations of nighttime Los Angeles. In some ways, it is similar to Martin Scorsese's After Hours, a story about a lost main character wandering through a night city, trapped in his fear, where danger seems to be around every corner. The difference is that Scorsese made a dark, slightly surreal comedy, while in Miracle Mile the fears feel much more real and justified. The city that seemed calm and safe just 10 minutes ago slowly drops its mask of civilization, suspense grows and the character starts to lose control. I'll pause for a second here. If you have watched up to this point, you're clearly interested in Cine Underground. Write in the comments which film you think would fit this section. We talk here about strange, forgotten, but always very curious films. De Jarnatt was inspired to write this story by a random phone call that he once received himself. As for the style, many other authors influenced it, both writers and filmmakers. Among the literary references was the prose of Cornell Woolrich, an American writer and one of the most important figures of the noir genre. While preparing this video, I was surprised to learn that Woolrich is actually the king of noir adaptations. More noir films are based on his work than on anyone else's. Miracle Mile clearly follows this tradition. A big part of the film's noir look is the work of cinematographer Theo van de Zandt, who created a very distinctive visual style. The film is shot almost entirely at night. It uses unnatural, almost acidic colors: blue neon, anxious orange streetlights, red alarm lights. Light often comes from below or from the side, distorting faces, a classic technique of horror and German expressionism. Los Angeles looks not like a real city, but like a surreal maze or a nightmare you cannot wake up from. Miracle Mile is an apocalyptic noir. It has fatalism, a city as a trap, and crime as a trigger for the story. This becomes especially clear in the second half of the film. There is even a kind of femme fatale. The woman named Julie is far from a classic mysterious deadly woman, but she plays a typical noir role. She pushes the main character to take risks and almost leads him into a trap. The film also has classic noir elements like distrust of authority and a general atmosphere of fear. Here this is shown by the fact that the government and the police seem to be absent, standing aside from what is happening. But the main character, Harry Washello, breaks the noir formula. He is not a cynical detective or a criminal, he is an ordinary, kind, even naive guy, and that is exactly what makes him interesting, watching how such a person behaves in a crisis. The role of Harry was played by Anthony Edwards. He was a familiar face in the 90s, and before Miracle Mile he had already appeared in notable roles in Revenge of the Nerds and, of course, Top Gun. After that film, he was often seen as the nice second lead. Miracle Mile didn't boost Edwards' career, but it showed his range as an actor, not comedic but anxious and vulnerable. His most famous role came in the 90s on television. He played Mark Green in the TV series ER, one of the show's main characters. For this role, he won a Golden Globe and received many nominations for major acting awards. Before Edwards, when the script was close to becoming a big-budget blockbuster, the main role was considered for Nicolas Cage, Kurt Russell and even Paul Newman as an older option. He was already over 60 at the time. But De Jarnatt chose Edwards because he didn't want the main character to look like a traditional hero. Edward's partner in Miracle Mile was Mare Winningham, who played Julie. She was very active in TV movies and series in the 70s and 80s and continued working mainly in television after Miracle Mile. She also appeared in ER, though not as part of the main cast. Another very important part of the film is the soundtrack. The music was created by Tangerine Dream, a German group and one of the pioneers of electronic music. Tangerine Dream has already composed music for films many times. Back in the 70s, their work was used in German cinema and later in Hollywood films, including William Friedkin's Sorcerer, Michael Mann's neo-noir Thief, and Risky Business with Tom Cruise. For Miracle Mile, the group worked almost for free. They liked the concept so much that they didn't ask for a big fee, and together with the film they released an album with the same name. The music, like everything else in the film, helps create a feeling of tension that grows with every minute. It works like a kind of timer. The closer it gets to dawn, the denser the rhythms become and the stronger the sense of anxiety. Sorry that I'm not playing the actual tracks here. What you hear in the background of this video is not from the film. I'm afraid the platform's algorithms would not be very happy if I used the original music. I can't resist saying a few words about the ending of the film. If you haven't seen it yet, skip to the next timestamp in this video or watch the film first and then come back. So what did the studios want to change in order to pour a lot of money into production? They wanted a classic happy ending. De Jarnatt wanted a tragic one. I suspect that if the ending had been the studio version, the film would have not left the same feeling of emptiness and anxiety. In the final scene, the main characters end up trapped in the La Brea tar pits, the same place where not only the film begins, but life on our planet once began. Now Harry and Julia themselves will become fossils, and maybe their remains will be displayed in a museum that appears on the spot thousands of years later. This ending feels much stronger and more disturbing than a theoretical happy ending. In my opinion, a positive outcome would look too sweet and unnatural. It would also destroy all the tension the film carefully built. And it is exactly because of this ending that the film still works in our anxious times. Today, fear of missiles is joined by fear of artificial intelligence, algorithms and fake information. The film seems to have gained new relevance, just like it had when the script was written 10 years before the movie was actually released. There are many things I didn't like about the film. Well, enough things to keep me from being fully satisfied. Some dialogues are rough or even awkward. The police and special forces look like NPCs, and the shift from calm to panic feels too sudden. Many factors played a role here, from the director's lack of experience to budget limits. This is still a small personal film, even if it hits the nerve of its time. With experienced producers and more money, it could have become a truly big movie, but I wouldn't pay for that with a changed ending. The price feels too high. Critics received the film well, and it did decently at festivals, including Sundance. It was not a big success in theaters, but according to the director, after the release of VHS and later DVD, the costs were covered and even some profit was made. It turned out to be one of those films that were not popular at the time of release, but slowly built a strong fan base during the home video era and fully deserved it. Miracle Mile is an amazing, compact experience, a warning film that works not through special effects, but through an atmosphere of total inevitability. It reminds us that tomorrow may never come. All we really have is now and the person next to us. If you like films that stay with you after the credits, make sure to find an evening for this one. This was Max Chkonia and the City Underground section. Write in the comments if you've seen this film and suggest titles for future episodes. Don't postpone life for later. See you in the next video.